Okay, so we shifted the focus for today's meeting to marketing because enrollments are one of our key deliverables in the grant, and we are halfway through July. So hopefully enrollments are coming in. So it's sort of a crucial period in terms of student recruitment. And what we'd like to do is hear from you all, you know, a bit about your marketing efforts and hopefully share some best practices. So, first of all, I'd like to say that I know here at Bellevue, we started out broader, you know, kind of reaching bigger groups, job fairs and things like that to promote awareness of the program. And now we're shifting gears and focusing on highly targeted recruitment at this stage of the game. So we'd like to hear from you what specific populations you've been targeting who you think would be likely candidates for your program. For example, we have a healthcare data analytics program that we're recruiting for, and we know that students with database skills would be good targets for us. So we've been discussing various ways to reach those groups. So any volunteers to start on the first item, one or two specific populations that you're targeting for your programs? And you can either unmute your mic or type in the chat box, whatever you're most comfortable with. Adriana, how about you?
Hello. So we are specifically focused, our two programs are nursing, so registered nurse and pharmacy technician. So we have a lot of students who are kind of in the pipeline that are doing their prerequisites at this point, because that can take a year or even 2 years to get done before they're able to be eligible to be into the program. So we're trying to focus on those students and then actually working with admissions to give priority to veterans that are spouses or TAA eligible. So if any of those students are interested in the program, they can get priority, because we do have waiting lists and very competitive programs so that they're able to get in if they are qualified.
Okay, so recruitment is not a big worry for you all if you have waiting lists for both of your programs.
Yeah, exactly. And some students wait for years. So we have established programs already that are kind of up and running, but the challenge is more the veterans and TAA eligible because of that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
This is
Andy,
Fran.
would you?
Oh,
hi, Fran. No,
hi.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, we too have a wait list for our program, the medical assistant program, and I was just looking at the numbers. We have 24 slots filled of the 28 slots available, and we still have people on the wait list that are waiting to hear from the college to see if they get moved into the program. So I assume we'll be good, although it's going to be a different story when it comes time to paying. So they're actually in the program, but they have to make their first payment by August 1st. And I think sometimes they get, they're no longer in the program when they don't make their first payment. But then we are attempting to target veterans and spending a little time on students right out of high school, so high school type fairs, and then veterans. And then so those are the populations that we've been going to specific events to talk to them about the program. And then I've also been just distributing brochures at some of the work source locations to try to target dislocated workers.
Great. And Fran, when I just lost my train of thought. Let's see, what was I going to ask you? Oh, are there a lot of prereqs for your program?
No, none. Oh, just requirements like immunizations, health insurance, and background check, but no classes that they need to take.
Okay, so you have it pretty easy on the recruitment side, but probably bigger challenges on the retention side.
Exactly, yep.
And since it's completely open enrollment, there's no screening process either.
Right. We try to encourage, I've been working with the advisors to try to be a little bit better at sticking to the advised COMPASS scores, because I am not kidding you, we sometimes have students that want to enter the program that have, you know, a reading COMPASS score of 8. And so
oh, wow.
we're trying to work with the advisors that there are, you know, although there aren't specific requirements, so all we can do is encourage them to get to that COMPASS score.
So
that
no
yes.
COMPASS score minimum.
Yeah, no, right. It's just there are scores like we have a 40 for math, but it's not required. So we can say we'd like a 40 on math, but if they have a 10 on in math and they want to get in the program, that would be their choice. But they're more than likely not going to succeed if they do that. So
yeah,
we encourage them to get signed up for the brush up classes prior to getting into the program if they have lower COMPASS scores.
Yeah, so that's a little frustrating because it doesn't really serve anybody.
Right.
If they're
right.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Anybody else?
This is Jay. I think some of the challenges for recruiting for our program is that we're aiming at people who have probably at least an AA and maybe even more closer to a bachelor's degree for the program. So recruiting on campus is really, there's not a lot here. So some of the targets we've done are TAA recipients who have an IT or healthcare background. And we've recently learned that from Boeing's layoffs, they had a bunch of IT people who were laid off recently who are TAA eligible. So maybe we're trying to make that a connection. And of course, veterans, we've been to JBLM and Patriots Landing to try to create relationships. That's really what we're trying to do. And also they have they're having education events in fall that we're going to try to be part of and get our flyers down to them as well and get in some.
Okay, thanks. And I also wanted to introduce the person sitting next to Andy, our newest team member, Jennifer Hemker. And Jennifer is our instructional support specialist and will work with Andy and Esther. So we're glad to have you, Jennifer.
Hello, thank you. I'm looking forward to working with everyone here.
And I know at some of the colleges, the student navigator and instructional support roles are rolled into one. At ours, they're broken out, but we'll work closely together.
Just like this.
Yes, side by side.
Okay, and the target populations and strategies sort of melded together, but if there is anything you'd like to mention, Rachel, I know you mentioned an interesting approach yesterday in yesterday's meeting that you're using some videos. Can I ask you to say a little bit about those? Rachel, I don't know if you're speaking or not, but you're on mute.
Okay, I was speaking.
I've done that many times.
You guys can hear me now then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, Adriana and I have been trying to do some outside of the box thinking in terms of marketing, and social media is really big these days, and one thing that we were talking about was doing a YouTube video and working with our marketing department to do a little short video that we can put on YouTube and do like a video spotlight of veterans that are in our programs. And they can just basically talk about their success of the program and how they plan to go on in their future, and hopefully we could use that as a little marketing piece and post that on our Clark College Facebook page and out different ways through social media.
Nice. You know, so when we heard your description yesterday, we started thinking about how might we use video, and something that we were thinking of is some very short little interviews of people who are working in those jobs to give people a sense of day in the life so that they know, huh, well, that sounds interesting, or, oh, I didn't know that's what they did. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, there's so many different angles that you could take with it, and I think it adds a little bit more of a personal approach and a personal feel, and something that, you know, students can watch on their cell phone, and, I mean, just technology is so amazing, so we just try to use it to the best of our ability to market.
Yeah, because why not use that medium?
Exactly.
Anybody else have some particular strategies they'd like to share that might be a little bit different? Andy, can I ask you to talk about the mapping, the target, you know, okay, thanks. I'm glad you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
can I pass over the controls to you?
Sure. Okay, apparently I think I'm now the presenter. So I'm going to bring something up on the screen here. I've been playing with, I use ONET a lot to look up information. One of the things I've been using it for is to try to map what military occupations match the skill set we're looking for in some of the for the programs. So because we have some, you know, we want to have IT experience, or we want to have specific things. So I kind of mapped out some of these, and I've created this. This is a PDF with links in it, but let me show you what it is. And I'll go to pharmacy technician because the computer network stuff is self-described, but the pharmacy tech is one I heard somebody mentioned that they have a program. So if you click here, what this does, it gives you the report for pharmacy technicians and the skill set.
Andy, I'm sorry, we're not seeing your screen.
Oh.
Have you done share desktop?
I thought I did. 1 second. It said I was a presenter. I'm not seeing.
You would need to do share desktop.
Share.
There we go.
Okay. How about now? Do you see the tool?
Yes.
Sorry about that, folks. So this is just a matching tool that I did some searches on military occupations to more drill down. We don't just want veterans, we want veterans with specific skill sets. So I heard someone mention pharmacy techs a little earlier, so I created a search for that. And when you click here, you'll see pharmacy tech. This is just the ONET report on the skills of pharmacy tech person and what the, you know, the tools that they would use, the knowledge, that sort of thing. So over here, 1 second, if you click pharmacy tech on this column, these are the matching military occupations with the MOS codes right in them there. So if you wanted to, you know, drill down to military occupations, if you're speaking to someone and you're talking to, I don't know, a TAP person or somebody from JBLM and say, we're not just looking for any veteran, we're looking for a, you know, pharmacy specialist from a 68Q or a 91Q, something that would be specific to the, you know, that military occupation that that would match your program well. So I think, like for our program, we kind of need to do that. We need to find people with the skill set a little bit already when recruiting. So I created this little sheet here that has like medical and health service manager, medical records and health information technicians, and like if we click here, you can see here are some of the matching military occupations that would match that skill set according to ONET. So that's just something I created. I can send it to you guys if somebody wants it. Or this is actually something it's really easy in ONET. It's just sort of specific, but I could write up the instructions on how to do it if anyone wants it.
Andy, I would like to have a copy of this if you could email that out after the meeting.
Sure. Who is this?
It's Fran.
Hey, Fran. Sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks.
And I'll also send the instructions because it's actually, this is just a list of search criteria that we came up with, and you might have others, and you can do it yourself. So it's really kind of cool.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks, Andy.
Shall I give you the desktop back?
Oh, sure.
All right. Do I hit stop sharing? Is that the key here?
You put the cursor over my name and then make present. Actually, you know what? I can take the controls back, I think.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so I thought this was a really interesting strategy to have a targeted approach to veterans. And I know that this kind of segues nicely into our next piece. I know that you're all recruiting veterans in various ways. So this is one tool. For example, we're trying to work with the people who are doing the advising for active duty military who are transitioning out of the military. And we're trying to get this information to those advisors so that if they have people in their advising pool who have these backgrounds, they can direct them to the right programs. Well, to our programs. Any particular strategies you'd like to share in terms of recruiting military veterans? We're all a little jealous of Pierce College because they actually have an advising office for their college on Joint Base Lewis McChord on site. But the rest of us don't have that. So anything you'd like to share? Nothing? Andy, how about you?
Actually, one of the challenges, it's more into the challenge section at this point, but like even having these lists of these are the matching occupations, it's still hard to know how to reach out to that population. So that's one of the challenges I'm having in this stuff is, you know, how to know about going about that.
And hopefully those education advisors can assist with that. It's our hope.
Yeah.
This is Fran again. One change we just made is that we did hold, I think, 3 slots for veterans so that they would have priority enrollment to help encourage them, to let them know that they wouldn't have to wait on the wait list, that they could get right into the program. So
nice.
I'm not sure. I think that might help a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I know people get discouraged when they hear about a wait list, but so many people are on the wait list. They sign up a year ago and they're studying somewhere else or they've changed their minds. So, but I still think it sort of sometimes deters people. So letting them know that they actually have priority enrollment and slots reserved for them hopefully will help. We'll see.
Yeah. Sure.
And this is Adriana, and that's what we've been doing as well. And then we've been trying to advertise that by putting on the website, if you look at the programs, then there's a little paragraph that talks about how veterans do get priority so that they would know it if they just looked up the program online. But we also have a separate, website page for the grant, and then just bringing those brochures to the work source and working with the veterans specialist at our college, just so if he knows anyone, then he can give them the information directly as well.
Great. And then our TAA populations also, since it is a TAA grant, that it would be great if you all could assemble links to your programs and program information to send to Caitlin Jekyll, who spoke with us a couple months back. Or if you no longer have her contact information, feel free to send it to me and I can forward it on so that they can direct any appropriate TAA candidates your way as well. All right, thank you. So we pretty much already covered class enrollments. So let's move on to, and I know Andy mentioned one challenge. Any other challenges anybody would like to share?
Well, ours, this is Adriana again, they accept students early. So for example, with nursing, they've already admitted students for the fall and winter cohort quarters. So we're a little behind. So just considering the fact that now, starting in that winter quarter, the veterans get priority, and then after that they will. But before that, even though this whole first year, that wasn't quite established yet. So I guess just being behind those certain populations just due to the fact that this is a competitive process and the fact that they do have all those prerequisites, that's getting established, but it did take more time.
Sure. And then, Andy, I don't know if you'd like to talk a little bit about CLEP and Dantes in terms of PLA that might help people get through those prereqs more quickly.
Sure. Yeah, I did a kind of an ad hoc sheet I gave to the program managers about what I was given what your prereqs were for all the programs. This is on my PLA side. What the program, like if you have prereqs for any of your programs, and I sent back a list saying here are the matching CLEP or Dantes tests that would meet those requirements if they're accepted at your school. Like this would be a test that's similar to matching that. So that's one way you can do it. If you have people that can take these tests and test out of some of the prereqs, it's a really good way to help them, complete their degree faster. That's for sure. And they could also do that sort of stuff if they're waitlisted. They could, if they can complete the CLEPs, that's one thing. They could also take them in advance. But a mix of that might really help people to take care of this stuff early.
And I would imagine, especially for veterans who were in similar roles in the military and just need a civilian credential, and you said that the VA will pay for CLEP tests.
Oh, yeah,
veterans,
I'm sorry.
Right?
Yeah, they will. And oftentimes during service, service members often take CLEP test to CLEP out of certain areas if they're pursuing education anyway. But also after, if they're using the post-9/11 GI Bill, it's fully reimbursable if they pass, I think. I'm not quite clear. It might not be fully reimbursable if they fail.
Oh.
But I'm pretty sure it is, but I'm not positive. But they can take CLEP or Dantes, and that's fully reimbursable by the VA.
Great, and we can resend that information out,
Sure.
the list of prereqs and the matching CLEP tests. Anybody else with challenges? Okay.
This is Rachel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, Rachel.
I don't know if this is off topic, and it may be. So if it is, just tell me. So, thinking big picture wise, one of the things that Adriana and I have talked about is when we get closer towards the end of the grant, and I mean specifically for our nursing program, they admit 3 cohorts a year. How do we kind of begin to work with students and again kind of close the gap when we get towards the end of spring or summer 2015, and we're trying to help the veterans get in but kind of close the gap so that they know that although we won't be here, there are things in place to help them.
So when you say close the gap, do you mean the gap between having a full
a navigator to be there to assist them in one quarter and then be gone, for example, the next quarter?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I would think that clear communication about that and introductions to people at your career center and things like that, but I don't know if anyone else has thoughts on that.
Well, obviously the people won't be there to help anymore. That's a challenge. But any materials that you can create, I don't know, job assistance materials, resume templates, whatever you're providing, that you could create a page or information that they could use, that you're learning stuff now and you can sort of gather up and use later. That could be at least helpful after the end of the grant.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm currently, this is Adriana, working in career services a few days a week, so I'm actually putting all those materials together, a big list of job websites, example resumes, and all of that, and then the department will be able to continue using it. So for these particular programs, there will be industry-specific resources. But we were just thinking it's interesting that right now we have one cohort, which is about 24 students, and by the end we'll have over 300 students, and then once we're at that maximum amount of students, the grant will end. So it's continually building without tapering off, and then it just finishes, and then I may have just met the students very briefly, and then I won't be there. So kind of just maybe, you know, that like the role statement, I guess, of maybe changing it at the end or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and preparing them for the change. Thanks. Anything else? Okay. So aside from marketing, is there anything in the student services realm that you'd like to share with the group? You know, some practice or tool that you've come across that you think other people might find useful?
This is Fran again. Just one of the challenges our students seem to always have is financial issues. And so I've really had good luck using the WIA funding programs, referring students that maybe they need books for the quarter or supplies, or even they funded one of our students for an entire tuition. And then there's another, I guess, I'm not sure if it's just King County, unfortunately, but there's another, I think it's a federal grant called Health Careers for All, and there's a contact for that. So they have federal funding for anyone going into the healthcare field. And so, but it's through Pacific Associates, so I'm not sure what the other counties, like who their contacts would be, but Pacific Associates is generally kind of through the work sources.
Fran, if you wouldn't mind sending us information on that, that would be great. I'd love to share that with the group.
Oh, yeah, sure. I can send you our specific contact person.
Oh, okay.
And then that grant, the Health Careers for All grant, also provides job search assistance and some kind of, I think, wraparound services as well. So I mainly use them when the students come to me and they miss their financial aid deadline and they need money, that sort of thing. Then I try to send them to either the WIA counselors or the Health Careers for All Navigator to get them some funding just until their funding comes in.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that grant.
Yeah.
Sounds very promising for a lot of our programs.
Yeah, I'll send you my contact.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else?
This is Adriana, and I have been using the students' online course shells. So all of our courses have Moodle component. So even if it's on ground course, they still have an online component. So I've been using that to post discussions weekly for the students that might be about time management or test preparation. And I'll post some resources and using Adobe to make fillable forms so the students can fill out a time diary or a study plan, and then I'm able to see who downloaded it, and that seems to be a good way to sort of reach out to the students. And then also using social media like Twitter, trying to get them to follow me, and then I can tweet those resources like what Fran was talking about. I put together like 2 pages worth of community resources and a page of college resources, so I can reach out and tweet, you know, weekly kind of here's a resource for you to look at, or here's a job website, or those types of things for the students.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that would be a definite best practice that we should all be doing.
It seems to reach them because they all log into their course, so it seems to work out well.
Yeah. Nice. And do you have pretty good uptake on that is nice that, you know, you have the built-in metrics in an online course platform to see who's accessed it or not. Do you have pretty good uptake on those resources?
Yeah, it seems like quite a few students download the resource.
Good.
I mean, discussions, only a few students usually participate in a discussion,
Yeah.
but it seems like a lot more download the resource, so then at least I know they're getting it. Compared to email, it seems like a much more effective method.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh. What age are the students typically?
It ranges, so a lot of them are older, I would say, kind of between maybe like mid to upper 20s sort of age up. So a lot of them already have children and are working, and they have a lot of things going on. So, but it really does range for these programs and kind of depends.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. Good one. And we've pretty much already covered challenges, unless people have challenges outside of the marketing area that you'd like to discuss with the group, or any questions anybody has. Okay. I'd like to start rotating facilitation of this meeting, even though I unwisely put it to a vote early on. What was I thinking? And the majority, we did have some people who were game for rotating facilitation, but I'd really like to make it your meeting. So in September, I'd like to start asking other people to take turns facilitating the meeting. And I'd also like to include instructional support staff, even though not all of the duties are the same, such as employment and student recruitment are often not part of the duties of the instructional support staff. There are a whole lot of other areas that do overlap. Retention, services to retain students, and academic support, that sort of thing. So I wanted to run that by anyone to see if you have any concerns about that or think it's a bad idea. Okay. And I'll.
Rachel.
Oh, go ahead. Hey, Rachel.
I think the more people that can, participate in these meetings, the better. The more ideas will flow through.
Yeah.
Keep everyone on the same page.
And,
Great.
And this is Fran again. I think our instructional support specialist could really benefit, because I don't think she really has any idea that she's responsible for retention. And so I think this might, I don't think she realizes where her salary is coming from, and that it's about retention, just because I don't think she's not doing the greatest. And so this might be good if we're reminding her that this grant is about retaining students, and she should be doing her best to help keep students in the program.
Okay.
So it would be good to have our instructional specialist join us.
Great. Glad that you're all in favor of this. And the next meeting would be especially relevant to the instructional support staff, because we'll be looking at coaching students for maximum support and retention. And we are fortunate to have Adriana with us, because we based this coaching model on a model developed by a group called Inside Track, and Adriana worked for them. So she is intimately familiar with the practices. And then we don't yet have a topic for September, and wondered what ideas you had for what you'd like to see talked about in September. And if you also just want to percolate on that and drop me an email, that's great too.
Okay.
Anything that comes to mind at this point?
I think next year we should, sometime over the next year, we should talk about the career element and just the career development kind of coaching aspect. And I'd be willing to talk about that as well, because I've developed, or share materials that I've developed. But that'd be something just to hear everybody's ideas on how they're supporting students in that way.
Okay.
That would be great. We actually have a cohort that's in their summer quarter. They're in their externship, so their final quarter. And so Maria and I have set up 4 sort of open job search labs where we're just going to be in the lab for a couple of hours, and we're reminding them and inviting them. They've already taken their professional development class where they've created their resumes and their cover letters, and we're just going to help them look for jobs and help them apply, because many of our students, I don't think, have really done any online applications. And it's important that, you know, you can't just say see resume or, you know, not complete the application. So we actually have 4 dates set up where we've let they're currently in their externship, so we set 2 sessions up in the evening where they could come after their externship, and then since it's just a 6-week quarter for summer, we set up a couple of day ones afterward where they've completed their externship, and we're just going to help them apply for jobs.
Fran, this is Rachel. That's a great idea. I really like that. But just out of curiosity, how many of your students actually end up getting jobs at their externship?
You know, I'm not sure about that. I know Maria kept telling them, like, you know, saying, oh, you might get picked up, but I'm not sure of the actual numbers.
Okay.
So I personally don't want them to rely on that, and I'd prefer that they're actually doing job search while they're in their externship. And if they get picked up by their the employer that they're placed at, great, but not to just assume that they're going to get a job offer when they're done.
Yeah. And maybe maybe you all can think about what would be most useful in the area of career services in terms of sharing information. I don't know, are you all doing workshops at all with students, or is it purely one-on-one? Because if there are workshops, we could all bring some different tools that we're using so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I'm doing different study skill workshops like test preparation, time management, but I'm also doing classroom presentations starting in the fall. So any faculty member can request it, and I can give an overview of interview techniques, resume critiques, or have it be interactive with the students. So I'm currently developing this presentation, so they'll be ready for the fall.
Okay.
Our program actually has a class where the instructor teaches all of that, interviewing techniques and resumes and cover letter writing and that sort of thing, so that I haven't actually been assisting them much with that unless they need one-on-one assistance after they've gotten through the class. Like we'll see, I'm asking them all to bring their electronic versions of their cover letters, resumes, and then references, and we'll see what they look like. If the question will be if they show. You know, we've reminded them, and they all said we did a little survey to see when they'd be available, and they were all excited. But our first one, I think, is the 31st of July. So we'll see if any of them actually show. Because they're out. Go ahead.
Do you think they would be more likely to show if it was virtual, or you think that wouldn't make a difference?
I don't know. I personally think the in-person of actually sitting there with, like, you know, explain, I don't know, like helping them. Like we're prepared to actually handhold them through applying for it, like helping them look for a job, and then they say, oh, here's a medical assistant position at Valley Medical Center. So then we help them tweak their cover letter and then actually fill out the application and then get it done. When they leave, hopefully they will have gotten several applications in during that job search session. But I also, some of the things that I'd already distributed them were some job search sites that they could use on their own, and then also a list of as many of the clinics and medical hospitals and medical centers in the area that I could find their just names and websites for them.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, so it sounds like virtual wouldn't make any kind of positive difference there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that would be helpful to them. Because I think, again, it's the one, even though it'll be an open lab, we'll be there to just sit with them, you know, to walk around and see who's having issues and stuff. I'm not sure. We'll see if it's a good idea or not.
Yeah.
For ours, the pharmacy professor requires the student, so even though they learn about it kind of in class, I'll do a presentation for all of them, they require the student to come to Career Services and have a mock interview and get their resume critiqued one-on-one. So that's something that the faculty, so I'll be doing that part of it just because the faculty do, and because it's part of the class and they have to do it, then they'll all show up hopefully in the fall and do that component of it.
That's fantastic that that's built into the class. Huh. Interesting idea.
Another idea I'm trying to get, I'm working with some of the RNs and the rad techs, and I'm trying to get them to, I believe in networking in lots of different ways, but one of the things is network with each other. They all are, you know, they're in class now with all their friends. They've been with their cohort for a couple of years, but the second you graduate, you know, those people are in the wind. You better make sure you have their contact information because, so I'm trying to get them to network with each other. I recommend LinkedIn, but whatever method they want to use to make sure they keep in touch, because those are the people that will get hired someone and hear about, oh, by the way, we need a new person over here. So I'm trying to build networking tips for people too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, if I could ask you all to just kind of think about what would be most useful to share in terms of career services and how a meeting should be structured to be most useful, that would be most appreciated. Anything else? I'll send a little follow-up email after this meeting. And thank you so much for joining. I find it really helpful. I always learn something, and I hope you all do too.
Thanks, Margaret.
Thanks, Margaret.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Have
Bye-bye.
a great afternoon.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Margaret. Bye.